Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of What's Your Mess? Mental, Emotional, Social Status of Life. I am your host, Tracey D Armstrong, and we're back again for another amazing episode with another amazing guest who is here to share some of their life experiences and how their experiences have shaped their lives. So today we have another guest and I'm going to let her introduce herself. Go ahead.
Hi, thanks so much for having me, Tracey. My name is Julee Portner, and I'm a specialist in things to do with feeding, swallowing, communication, and how that impacts our well-being. It's a dynamic of our whole life, and I've been experienced with this with people throughout the lifespan, so from birth all the way through, and see that it's really a public health initiative. And I support people one-on-one and in groups. And I'm really seeing where we have gaps in care and working to fill those, to really understand that, especially in the age and stage of mommyhood. Like the mess of mommyhood, the confusion, the dynamics of it, how it really is impacting the health and life now, and also potentially this relationship with the child and as the family grows. And that has given me the vision, and it's a passion of mine to support a more robust way towards health and wellness. And I developed and am excited to announce the opening of Mamas Make Milk. This is a community that supports people who are looking for transformative health lifestyle plans to address all things to do with eating and giving milk and their babies taking milk and all of that. So I'm really happy that it's starting to take shape, and it's really going to be developed and molded by the moms, because this is for the moms of today. And we need to do mommyhood a little bit expanded, stretch out what we know. We know so much, but what are we doing? And how are we doing that? So I'm offering this expert guidance with evidence practices, but really breaking it down into like the real deal. How can we put it in our lives in real ways to take care, nourish, and nurture our families and ourselves, and just be well, have fun, and get in community. So I'm sort of playing around with that, and I'm excited to share. Thanks again for having me.
Wow, that is so interesting. Like, as I'm listening to you talk and explain kind of the community that you have, I'm thinking about mommyhood. And I remember, and I'm not going to talk about me. However, I remember mommyhood. And I mean, it's
Yeah.
not easy. And it is a challenge to navigate through that because, especially as a new mom, you're like, okay, I have a baby now, what do I do? And you really don't know. And so having that opportunity and you having that vision and expanding upon that, that is awesome. And it is most definitely needed and a necessity. So thank you for
Yeah.
that.
Thank
But
you.
before you've gotten to doing that, what tell our listeners what's one of the messes, or let's say a messy chapter of your life that you've had to go through and overcome?
Yeah, well, I think this exact moving from a more kind of traditional standard approach to care, and then seeing where we were falling off and having the confidence and the power in my own self, and overcoming the lack of confidence or my fears of failure to really um, speak up and say, hey, this isn't working. And to be like open to like be laughed at, or like kind of like write the manifesto of, hey, we want, I want to shift this or open it up. And to change anything, there are, people who want to squash down innovation. They like it how it is for all various reasons. And I think what we're doing now lacks. It's not really working. The outcomes aren't as good as they could be, should be, need to be. And so my mess was picking up the pieces after sharing truths that are sometimes recognized by people, but the change is a challenge to bring about, and how to kind of tap within to continue to follow your own truth. And that's really the message that I have for mommies, right? We can, every answer's out there, but what's the answer that's right for you and your family and your child and at this stage? And every space is unique. And so in my own journey of like speaking up for my truth, feeling inside what was right and wrong, I sort of like went through this journey just like one little step ahead, even though I understand the feeding from this like really professional standpoint. It's like recognizing, wow, a lot of these things I went through, I can identify this as like when I was a new mom, and what I see also mirrored in the mommies that I work with. It's really interesting. So that's I'm not sure if I answered that in as fully as you wanted, but that's what I got for you right now.
No problem. No, no problem at all. Because I am, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, was there a particular situation or something that occurred that caused you to go down this journey and down this path? Because you mentioned a couple of things. You mentioned like fear of failing. Was it like fear of failing as a mother, or like fear of failing? Because fear of failing goes like very broad for a lot, and
Right,
it goes different
sure.
directions. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, I think like fear of saying, hey, you guys, like we're offering information to new parents in a maybe more traditional or standard care setting that may not be matching with the evidence of today, or that may not be translating as well for them at home. I'm noticing these things, let's address it. And so I think afraid of being discredited, losing my way in that, like, the model of how the care is in, where I'm living, or like what I saw, and having kind of the strength within to say, okay, I need to know this truth, or this way I see it's working. And if the place I'm in isn't supportive, because many times they might have seen it, but it wasn't able to be changed, or for me, I felt I needed to move forward and do something in a different way. And so I think that was my mess, like really seeing the truth of it for me in the whole picture, and then saying, okay, well, I have the power to change only me and do it only the way I see fit. And even though change is messy, sometimes that we need to like just throw it all, scatter it all, and then sift through, and the treasures come through. And that is what I'm finding for me, for sure. So I think the mess was yeah, like just throwing it in and letting it go and see what happens.
okay. Yes, that makes so much sense though. Like, especially like you said, the change part, because when you said like you saw the truth, and you saw the truth that was for you, and it was different than what had been. So you, with that, how did that affect you mentally? Like, how did that affect like the way you thought about it and the things like that? Because you're in this space where you're seeing something, you're recognizing a change that should be taking place. And it's kind of like, okay, you said, you could only really change you, but you know that there's more out there that can be done. How does that affect you mentally?
Yeah, I think it was the stress of the a little, these little doubts that would creep in about okay, I see it. Is that really true? Or if it, that the anxiety, right? So the thoughts, the kind of, is it really, am I in the space? So kind of feeling myself juggling this back and forth, this between being sure and being unsure. And I really begin to recognize these feelings as just a natural part of the shift and the change, because it's an ever growing process. Whatever we're doing, life, that's life. And so it's we're in one mess, and then maybe we're we're smooth through for a while, and then another one might come through. So I think it's the thoughts, clearing, clearing the mind, and supporting that. So but it affected me in that way. And then I was able to kind of use these practices that I'm supporting now moms through as the experiences.
Right, right. And that makes so much sense. So you said like the thoughts of being sure then being unsure. And anytime you do go through some type of transition, there's always that thought that's questioning in the back of your head. Okay, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the wrong thing? And so with that being said, how did it impact you or affect you emotionally? Like and you said you mentioned like anxiety and things like that. How were your emotions impacting?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was, yeah, if I was feeling anxiety, then that kind of, you think that's like real scattered. I would then maybe feel a little bit less capable, right? Because then that's maybe, and the gut feeling, like, again, that sort of doubt, right? How does it feel? I think those two are, mental and emotional are so intertwined, right? And so it's like the feeling and the thought. And so really that, um, I think it would bring this um, feeling of, right, uncertainty. And I would feel um, unclear. And how did, getting out of that would be just, using some of these wellness practices to navigate the emotions, the feelings, to remind myself all is well, be here now. Right, I'm dealing with it, right? That's maybe messy in the moment, and but I and opportunities to just remember that feelings come and go, that emotions are here to tell us a story and alert me to something, but then right, and um, how to help navigate and manage through that. But it is very anxiety producing to do something different, to step out of yourself, to transform into something other. And that's
No,
messy.
no, for real. No, no, no. When you said like right there, like I like where you said like it with the emotions kind of alert you. And that's a great way of putting it because some people don't like to really tap into the emotion of the situation, but the emotion is there to alert you on like how to navigate through whatever the situation is. And change does cause that anxiety to creep up to where you kind of don't know, okay, but stepping out of your comfort zone, stepping into something new and something different, that's how you grow. That's how your journey down whichever path you take, it has to go. If you don't step out, you're going to stay stagnant in wherever you are. And with that,
Yes.
yeah, with that stepping out, like did it affect you socially? Because sometimes when we surround ourselves with certain people or in certain areas, and then we do decide to do something different, sometimes that will impact our social circles and things like that. Can you tell everyone, did that help? Did you have an effect on that? Or did it have an effect on you?
Yeah, I mean, I think whenever we change into something other, or it's almost like, that um, analogy of the caterpillar and the butterfly. And then there's
Mhm.
a period of time that, you're kind of, you're like in this like gooey space, right? Maybe that's that mess. It's like, we don't know, it's going to become something. We can see it, we can feel it, we know it, we're doing it. It's becomes with each step that we take. And then I think then it impacts how you start talking about it. And if you're in a, like when I was in a group with people, or even let's say some of my colleagues or things like that, I started to feel a little bit more alone. It was a little bit isolating. I sometimes struggled to maintain those relationships, and I think I as with anything, like the struggles within, right? So it's like kind of the reflection of whatever is going on with you is kind of like what you see or how you perceive others. So I think just befriending my own path, my own way, right? Like just saying, yeah, I'm accepting like whatever this is right now. And maybe it's putting people off, or I'm not sure what to do about that, but like peace and love. I know that sounds really maybe trite, but I just meant like, I just sort of saying, this is what I'm doing and I'm really excited about it and genuine. And, you know, it's okay if you don't agree or you do agree or like whatever it is, but it is kind of, um, yeah, isolating to be transforming into something else and to become other or to step away and do maybe differently. But I think I've really embraced it, and I think you just find yourself and you find others like you. There's so many people, and people, everything changes in life, and people who maybe go away come back. And I just think it's just that same thing as just how we live, right? This back and forth and how we balance ourselves. So socially now, I think as I'm opening up these communities and getting out there more and getting practice talking about what I'm doing and shaping it more and helping the mom shape it, I think we're going to have a robust and very wonderful community of people who are speaking up and sharing with their heart and figuring out for themselves. So I think there's groups everywhere for everybody.
Right, that's true. There are. I realize that there's a group out there for everybody, all kinds of groups, and that is
More and
awesome.
more.
Yes, exactly. Like you never know, guys. Like there's groups for all kind of people, which is awesome because, like when you said, when you started to transition, you started to change, you started to talk a little differently, and like in your original circles, some people may have been like, "Okay, this isn't the same person." So, like you said, may have been a little bit more isolating at the time, and then now though like you're socially you've changed. It's a different type of community, but that new community is more around what you are transitioning into and what you are doing. And so how did you get to that point, like from what you were going through, from where you were to where you are now, and being able to talk about it and express, like you're talking about with the mommies and trying to help others. How did you get from where you were to where you are now? Like, is there anything particular that you did in order to get yourself through that change?
Yeah, so I think that when I was working in a more traditional care space, I was working in the hospital and I was working with all kinds of babies with difficulties with feeding, and the moms would have this impact on their well-being, and that was my work. It was also impacting my well-being. So I decided that in order to continue to do this work, I wanted to do it differently. And I went on a journey of self-discovery. And this is sort of, that was my mess. So maybe, right, I'm answering the question kind of secondarily, but the, I, I really began to kind of just acknowledge myself without judgment. I prioritized my self-care. I went back to school for my own self so that I could become more an integrative and holistic and functional provider. So that means for me, really seeing the different parts and collectively having it come together. I learned first for me. So everything I kind of did, it was like, I want to be the best mommy, the best partner, the best friend, the daughter, community support person. Like, this is important for me, colleague, right? Like, how can I live my best life and be my best me, living in an authentic sort of truth? And if what I'm doing doesn't feel or sit right, then that's up to me to change it. And even though it may lead to these sort of mental, emotional, stresses, changes, there's these steps that I can take. So I was very fortunate to get some really incredible teachings and coachings from some people who are really leaders in the space of meditation and health and wellness and spiritual coaching and supports for our whole person and being. And through that, I really started to tap into my own reservoirs of intuition, the inner guidance system, the state where I can sort of look at things through a lens of the evidence of what I see, maybe what science is showing and telling, and supporting it through these experiments and experiences for my own self, and then having this like living experience that I'm embodying and then can share with those that I work with. So that's taking this wellness experience beyond. So it's sort of like helping yourself, that kind of thing that we talk about. We always hear self-care, that analogy that goes around a lot. The oxygen mask is on you first, or you have to fill up your cup, right? But it is so true. Whatever words you want to put it, right? When we are well, we can do well by others. When we're helping ourselves, we're strong and clear and able to help others. So really about prioritizing the time to care, to listen, to be, so that we can be guided to our best.
Yes, 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 most definitely. I like the way you said that we have to be well in order to give well and, be well with others. And I know I use the cup analogy too a lot with your cup has to be full before you can pour
Yeah.
into anyone else's cup, which is so true. Like, and people still like, that's a whole nother story, but yes. But what advice would you give to someone? And I like what you said. Like you had some help. You went back to school. You learned more. You went through like that whole transition, like of leaving work and that makes so much sense. Like if you were working, because I didn't know that when you said like you were working in the hospital, right? And you were
Yes.
helping with the babies, and you were seeing it firsthand. You're like, wait a minute, there has to be something different, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, I see that. I could. It's all coming together now.
Yeah, we can't, we like reverse
Full circle.
engineering it, right? That's sort of what I'm doing with feeding, right? We're taking our baseline knowledge, and we're just tapping in and saying, wait, check this out. So I guess that would be what I would say is, to encourage whoever is out there listening to just acknowledging it without judgment, right? Just trying to see it, which helps us to just, even that can just be helpful. And when we can see it, maybe we can break it down into steps that are small, right? The little, like baby steps,
Mhm.
little bit by little bit, whatever seems manageable. And the seeking of support. And I think that's really critical, especially now. So I think we're in a space where we can go online 24/7. We can get answers everywhere. We can, for every answer yes, we can get an equal answer no. It can be really overwhelming and challenging, especially if you're not sleeping well, or you're not feeling well, or you're really nervous or anxious, or you're just want to do it best, and you know, especially for parents of newborns, which, right? I mean, what wouldn't a mommy and daddy do for their newborn, right? And their child, and it goes on forever. And that's what you even said, right? The story, moms you remember these things forever. And
Yes.
feeding is the first thing we have to do for our babies right from the beginning, right
Mhm.
away. And no one is a feeding expert. So you become one for your own child, but it takes time. So I think for anything, wherever you're transitioning new, seeking support from people who you feel the help is helpful, that you can prioritize your own self-care in a way that seems right for you. And this is what these like little wellness experiences that I hope to bring out for moms. And so really just having mini time to feed into yourself, to support your own inner guidance, and to be trusted in a community. So figuring it out for yourself and getting together with others and joining in a way that's focused on health and goodness for all, and not what's this kind of like, it has to be this way or this is the right way. No,
Mhm.
no, it's what is the right way for you. And so I think that's my own journey too, is always figuring out, is this working? And if not, what do I want to do differently?
Exactly. 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 And with that being said, if someone wanted to seek help or seek support from you, what can they do, or how can they reach out or connect with you?
Oh, I would love it if they wanted to reach out. They could just go to mamasmakemilk.com. That's mamasmakemilk.com. Mamasmakemilk.com. You'll probably put it down below or something, whatever, in your
Love
list. But my friend was like, you got to spell it out. So for some reason, I just spelled it out just now. But anyway, mamas make milk. Doesn't matter what kind of milk you're making and how old your baby is, because milk is really food. So just
Mhm.
come and join. And I want to hear from you, moms. We have going to have all kinds of stuff coming out for moms that are just soon to be mamas, moms of newborns, moms who have doing it for a while and are confused about some of the things that we're saying and hearing about all kinds of differences. And just come and have fun, be well, and support yourself, and just learn like a little mini practice. So yeah, join us. It will be great.
That sounds amazing. And can you give our listeners, so I will, let me make sure everybody knows at the end of the outro, so you gotta stay tuned. So at the outro, I will have all of her information with mamasmakemilk.com. And I'm glad you did spell it out, because I was gonna say, is that mama with an MOMMA or MA, and you spelled it out. So we got it. It's MAMAS. Make milk.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask though, like if someone did reach out to the community, like what's one example of something that you would teach, or what's something that they could learn from when they do talk to you?
Yeah. So, one of the things that we have going on that's open for all moms is called the Ultimate Wellbeing for Modern Mamas. And it's really just a time to get together, to build confidence and community, and a way to have a dialogue about wellness and mommyhood without sort of all the like shoulds or hearing the storyline, right? Like a community and support group is very important. And that's sometimes part of going through problems. But this is like moms who have struggled or are struggling with something with feeding or development with their child. It's impacting their well-being. They want to be in a community, but maybe they don't want advice or should or how to. They just want to be in common with other moms, like a sisterhood, to empower ourselves to wellness through it all. And so this is just a time to get together. And if moms want to join, but they can't join live, they can get a recording of it and then come in and share in a group like Mighty Network, their experience and things like that. So we have a little live things going on like that. And all of this is available. So come and check it out.
Oh my gosh, I'm listening. I'm like, man, I needed that 20 years ago for real. Because it is a challenge for some, especially the new mommies out there. And I know,
Absolutely.
like, say, been there, done that, where it's like, I know that I want to give my child, I want to give my baby the best. And then you struggle sometimes with knowing how to do it and taking care of yourself and taking care of your baby at the same time. But to have a community to be able to even just listen to and hear other people, it is so encouraging when you hear what other people are going through and you know you're not the only one. It's like, oh,
Right.
okay, it's not
I'm
just
not
me.
alone and this gets
Yes,
better. Or I, right.
yes.
A- And then come away with like a little practice where you've experienced with other people wellness, like a small deep breathing or a little mindset shift, some
Mhm.
evidence, something that we know works, but that you could really do in your real life, like when you're feeding your baby or bathing your baby or your baby's taking a nap. And then that can sort of just help grow with you. So it's like growing wellness in our new times because we know
Mhm.
so much, but how can we really do it? So let's
Mhm.
just do it together, have little fun experiments and experiences, and then talk about it. And yeah, like that.
Awesome. Well, I thank you so much. And before we wrap up, are there any last words of encouragement or inspiration that you'd like to leave with our audience?
Yeah, I think to remember that you really know what's right for you. We all do, and so if we can take the time to tap into ourselves, to get in with community with others, so that we can share and feel connected and unified, then we can live well. And I think focusing on your whole self and removing some of the shoulds and the have tos and getting into a space where you know you so that you can guide yourself to your best.
Yes, you know you, and you can guide yourself to your best because it's about
Yes,
you and what's best for you. Oh,
exactly.
well, I just wanted, those were some amazing words of encouragement because that is so true. I want to thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your time. Thank you for your words of encouragement and inspiration. Thank you for sharing your story. And everyone, I need you to make sure you go check out, Miss Julee Portner and mommiesmakemilk.com. Support the community. If you know any mothers out there, if you know any soon to be mothers, share this with them, like it, share it, subscribe, and go follow her also so that she can have your support because this is an amazing like outlet, like for real. And a lot of mothers really do need this. And the wellness of the mother will affect the wellness of the child,
For
period.
sure. For sure. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
And so thank you again. Thank you for this vision and walking in it because you could have had the vision and said, oh, somebody else could do it. But the fact that you're taking this vision and you're doing something about it, because it's much bigger than people realize. It's bigger with the feeding challenges and things like that. With the babies and mommies, it's much bigger than a lot of people who may not have children or may not be mommies like that may realize. And this is a most definite necessity in the community and for the community. So thank you again for that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support and again for having me on as a guest. And maybe this was super messy, but we all start somewhere.
Yes, we all start somewhere. And as we wrap up another episode of What's Your Mess, I do want to leave you all with this powerful quote to carry with you in your hearts. If you want to be sad, keep thinking about the past. If you want to be anxious or worried, think about the future. But if you want to be happy, focus on the present day and be grateful for what you have and where you are. And thank you again for sharing. This is Tracey D Armstrong with What's Your Mess. Have a good one, y'all.